So I could just make the pasta right here on this counter. So if you have, some kind of a stone counter, you could do that. But I actually really like this. It's called a Tavolo silicone pastry mat, and I got this for making like pie crust. Because whenever I was making pies, it was getting stuck to the counter. And then I discovered that using this for my pasta making actually worked really well too. So again, don't worry if you don't have this, but it's a handy thing to consider. So what we're gonna do is make a volcano with the flour and the eggs. So I'm gonna pour it all into one pile, and then I'm going to just kind of use my hands to make the hole of the volcano. Let's get a real name, I forget what it's called. I don't know. But it's gonna be a pretty big hole so that this looks more like an atoll or atoll. Like one of those islands where the middle is filled with water. But instead of the middle being filled with water, we're gonna fill it with these 2 eggs. So you just break the eggs into the middle. These are, I think, pretty good eggs. I got these from a local farm. And again, because your pasta is only made out of 2 ingredients, it's worth trying to get the best ingredients that you can. This happens to be King Arthur all-purpose flour. We really like King Arthur for our baking. We also mill our own flour from whole grains, which is awesome, and I will show you that another time. But assuming you don't have a mill, King Arthur is a really good brand. Also, I need to wear an apron because I'm kind of messy. And I forgot another tool. You need a fork. So I'm going to get the fork. Okay, so I've got 2 eggs in this volcano. Don't worry if it overflows. It's happened to me a million times. That's how I learned to make the hole in the volcano bigger. There's another tool that I like to use. Again, it's not required, but this is called a dough scraper, I think. Maybe a bench scraper. And it's just a stiff piece of plastic with a straight edge, and it helps me to fold the pasta dough when it's really sticky and it would really get stuck to my hands. This kind of helps me keep one of my hands clean anyway. So again, it's not required, but it's helpful. So I'm just gonna puncture these eggs, and I'm going to kind of like scramble the egg in the middle of the volcano. And I'm gonna start to pull in some flour, a little bit here and there, trying to not breach the walls and have it go all over. Again, it's no big deal if it does, and if it does, it's helpful to have one of these guys to help you get it back under control. So I'm kind of pushing the walls out as I go, as I'm trying to pull in the flour. I still see some really unmixed egg white. So this is going to take a few minutes. Is making fresh pasta quick? No, it's not quick actually, I'll be honest with you. It's going to take a few minutes for me to just incorporate the flour. Then we're going to knead it for a few minutes. Then we're going to knead it for a few more minutes, 8 more to be precise, but I'll get to that. And then we're going to need to have the dough rest a little bit before we can roll it out. So it's not quick, but I actually found it pretty meditative. So here you go. You see it's kind of a big blob. I don't know how to describe it. but it's not going to like ooze all over my counter anymore, which is nice. So I don't think I really need the fork anymore. This is where I could use my hand to scoop the flour into the into like, it's almost like a cookie batter or something, but loose. But I like to use the straight edge. I kind of scoop under to pick up some flour, push it down to start to incorporate it, come in from another direction, and start just sort of scooping and folding, scooping and folding. Keep going. So yeah, I was seeing that it's not a quick process, but you know, most things that are great aren't quick. So, you know, just you can use it as your like moving meditation. Stay present, breathe in and out. Trying to get all this flour. I'll end up using all this flour and I'm sure some more from the container, which is totally fine. And when you do this a few times, you'll get a feel for like how much flour to add. You don't want to be too quick to add flour because you could end up making the dough too dry. So still super sticky, as you can see, very sticky. So I am going to need to add some flour, but I'm sort of very, like I know that there's a light coating of flour on a very wet dough. So I'm not going to sort of manhandle this dough yet. I'm going to be super gentle and keep turning it and picking up more flour. So I'm just being careful to, you don't have to really be careful, but if I really jam my hand down on this dough, it's going to just be super messy. So I'm just moving it around to pick up more flour. So yeah, you can view pasta making as a kind of a nice calm activity and delicious. They'll have a delicious outcome, which is always nice with a hobby. I've been known to work all day, come home really kind of stressed out and tired, and decided like, all right, I'm just gonna make pasta because I'll be here, it'll be tactile, you know, I'm not on a computer, I'm not talking to people, except right now, well, I'm talking to my phone indirectly to people. And yeah, you can just kind of get into it. It's firming up a little bit, but I know it's still not there yet. I'll move it around on this mat to pick up the flour that's kind of scattered. What I'm trying to do is get to the point, it's going to take a few more minutes. Should have checked the time so I could tell you about how many minutes this was. Less than 10. 5 maybe? Where the first part of your kneading, about how long the first part of your kneading will take. Starting to get to the point where I can put a little bit more pressure without my hand getting completely gummed up with dough. And the motion I'm using is I'm pushing down with the heel of my hand with my fingers on the far side underneath it. I push down the heel, I pull it back over with my fingers, push it down, rotate it, push it down with my heel, and keep rotating it. So I'm going to do this for a few minutes, a couple minutes, and I'll come back and show you how you can tell when it's done.